In the heart of London's wealthiest district stands a building the city has tried to forget. Number 50 Berkeley Square, elegant, aristocratic and cursed. For over a century, this townhouse has been whispered about in hushed tones, its upper floors said to be the home to something so terrifying that those who encounter it died from fear. A haunted house, not in ruins, not abandoned in the woods, but right here, in Mayfair, amongst the embassies, the high-end boutiques, and the silent facades of wealth. This is the true story of the most haunted house in London. Built in the late 18th century, 50 Berkeley Square was once like any other prestigious London townhouse. It hosted gentlemen of influence, parties by gaslight, the clink of crystal in drawing rooms, but by the mid-1800s, that changed. Its last long-term resident was a man named Thomas Myers, a recluse with strange habits. After the death of his fiancée, he withdrew from society. He refused visitors, let the house decay around him. Neighbours began reporting strange sounds at night, screams, heavy footsteps, furniture dragging across empty floors. Some said Myers had gone mad. Others whispered he wasn't alone in the house. By the time of his death, no servant had remained for more than a week. After that, 50 Berkeley Square sat in silence, empty, but never quiet. The first fatality came in the 1870s. A young aristocratic Sir Robert Warboys dismissed the stories of 50 Berkeley Square as nonsense. A student of rational thought, he believed all the ghosts could be explained away. He made a wager. One night, alone in the infamous attic room, armed with a pistol, a bell beside his chair to call for help if needed, he entered the room around midnight, alone. The landlord waited anxiously in the hall below. Minutes passed, then an hour. Then the bell rang violently. Not once, but over and over. When the landlord burst through the door, it was already too late. Sir Robert Warboys sat dead in his chair, his pistol fired, smoke still in the air. His body untouched, but his face frozen in an expression of paralysing horror. His eyes wide, his jaw unhinged in a final, silent scream. The official cause of death, fright. But of what? Years later, in 1887, two sailors, Edward Blunden and Robert Martin, arrived in London on leave from Portsmouth. Looking for shelter, they broke into the abandoned 50 Berkeley Square and made their way to the attic. They laughed off the ghost stories and fell asleep. But before dawn, locals heard shouting. Martin burst into the street, dishevelled, bleeding, screaming about a creature, a thing that came from the corner, from the dark, with eyes that watched without blinking. Edward Blunden was later found dead in the attic. His body was contorted, thrown violently against the wall. Deep gorges had been torn across his neck and shoulders, as though by claws, or something worse. Martin was committed to an asylum. He never recovered, and he never again spoke of what he saw. The newspapers called it a tragedy of drink, but the locals knew better. So what exactly haunts 50 Berkeley Square? Descriptions vary. Some say it is the ghost of a young woman who lived there in torment, abused and locked in the attic by a cruel guardian, driven to madness. Her spirit never left. Others claim it's not human at all. Victorian psychic researchers described it as a sentinel cloud of evil, something that manifests only when provoked, a shapeless entity that suffocates, stares, and sometimes kills. A few described a slime-like presence, formless but with eyes. Even modern paranormal investigations report the same feeling when approaching the upper floor: pressure in the chest, difficulty breathing, shadows that move without cause, and the most terrifying thing, no two people see the same thing. Today, 50 Berkeley Square still stands. Its facade is elegant, respectable. Beneath it lies an antique bookstore, quiet, refined, but the upper floor still sealed. Staff will tell you it's due to health and safety. Others say it's kept locked because it must be. Visitors report strange sensations when passing the building. Sudden drops in temperature, the sound of footsteps on empty pavement. Dogs refuse to walk past. At night, some claim to see a faint light in the attic window, a flicker, a glow, then gone. No one has lived on the top floor in decades. No one is allowed to enter. What lies behind that locked door? 50 Berkeley Square is not a ruin. It stands proud in one of the most expensive districts in the world. Its neighbours are embassies and art galleries, and yet it hides one of the darkest secrets in British paranormal history. If ghosts exist, they usually dwell in forgotten places, but not here. Here in the middle of London's beating heart, the past still walks. So if you're ever near Berkeley Square, take a moment, look up, and if in the attic window you see something watching, don't stop, don't look closer, just walk away, because in some houses, the dead never left.